There will be no real non-controlled currency in the world.
We're coming for you, banks.
It's an exciting time to be involved in Bitcoin Cash at the moment.
During that whole war of Lightning versus big blocks, like, were we the bad guys? Were we the ones that weren't listening?
Fundamentally, we believe in markets, transparency, and tokenization.
Come on, you gotta come stronger than that, you know, like...
Hello and welcome back to the Bitcoin Cash podcast. Following Bitcoin Cash on its rise to global reserve currency. Let's go. This is episode number 78, BCH school report card featuring the man, the myth, the legend, Ryan Giffin. I'm your host, Jeremy, same as always. Jett is doing the producing, same as always. And today is Sunday, the 30th of April, 2023. Ryan is a BCH merchant adopter, a general crypto shill, obviously, regular guest on the show. This would be your fourth or fifth time on the show. You had one in April 2021, one in April 2022, two Christmas appearances. So this would be appearance number 5, if I get my guess correctly. But for the listeners who haven't heard of you or didn't listen to those episodes, and we'll go back and listen to it after this show, introduce yourself. What do you do in the crypto community?
How are you guys doing? I'm Ryan. Thank you for having me back. Yeah, this is the 5th time back. Usually you ask everyone, how'd you find Bitcoin? But I guess at the 5th time back, maybe people may know my story. And what am I doing in the community? I'm a local business owner in South Florida. So I have someone's asked me something. I have 5 operating businesses I now own. And I use all of those to kind of get a bigger soapbox to sit on to talk about peer-to-peer cash. All my businesses accept it. I have a restaurant locally now that we can talk more about. I recently purchased and closed on the 1st, and we run Bitcoin Cash meetups there. My other company, Commercial Kitchen Stop, we host what is usually typically an annual charity golf tournament. It's a large event. We missed last year because I needed to hire someone just to do events like these, and I now have someone really good at it. We'll share more about that. And, I do encourage other business owners in my community to accept Bitcoin Cash. And we have quite a few of them that do. And that's what I do in crypto. And I make YouTube content. I've been doing it for years. I've had a few month hiatus, and I'm bringing on someone to help me with that, a videographer to help edit and get that back up and running. Very excited.
Absolutely. Busy, man. Can you believe that it's been 2 years since that first episode that you were on? Do you have any reflections on that? Any teasers for anybody who might dig back in the archives? Episode 15 it was.
When I first started making Bitcoin, I used to make just a lot of investing content, and it was during the bear market, and I just wanted to generally talk about investing. So I just talked about stocks, growth stocks, real estate, business, and crypto, of course. And then after so I started really 2019, and I knew crypto was going to take back off at some point. I was like, all right, I'll get a big audience of 10 of people. And then as the price gets exciting again, I could tell them about crypto and why I like it. And that's kind of what I did. And I felt like I was making the crypto content on an island. I didn't really know where the community was. And maybe it was all in all different areas. And then you reached out to me as the Bitcoin Cash podcast. And I was so impressed with the details and how you presented Bitcoin Cash. And I was so grateful that someone recognized what I was doing, wanted me on the Bitcoin Cash podcast. And it was so well branded. And look at you now here. And I was just so excited. I remember I woke up super early that morning. We shot at my backyard here, and I was really boom, the community just hit you by a ton of bricks. It's man, this is so much more. And the audience, a lot of the content I've made in the past, there's been nothing else like making Bitcoin Cash content in terms of the viewership's probably a little lower, but the amount of personal interest in communication and the amount of feedback is so much more intense than anything I've ever done on a social platform. So that's my recollection of that. It's been, welcome to the family ever since.
It's crazy that it has been 2 years, and you're right. I do remember, you're sitting with the sun coming up in the morning in Florida. It was looking absolutely beautiful. I was in lockdown in London, I believe. So maybe I think I was still in London at that point. So I was very, very jealous. But yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. It's been a crazy 2 years. I should have actually gone back and watched a little bit of that to remind myself. I know we talked a bit about Craig Wright. We talked a bit about Peter Schiff and Spencer Schiff. Peter Schiff doesn't get much of a mention these days. Nobody even cares anymore. Like, he's just so irrelevant. So shout out to him, I guess. And yeah, I don't know. It's just funny to think, because I was sure we were saying on that episode, like, oh, wouldn't it be crazy in a year or 2 years? Well, that's it. Time travel. We're in the future. It's here now, and I'm sure in 2 years from now, it's going to be even crazier. But yeah, very glad to have you back on the show. Right. So go on.
No, it's just like, you're very good at forecasting. I was listening to your last episode, Cash Tokens, and the developer there, how he just came to Bitcoin Cash even later, and he's doing something so impactful. Like, it doesn't, like in terms of it, like, yeah, people always say, the market is spoken. It's like, dude, there's so much talent still coming in and finding interest in ways to use the technology. Like, did you think that somehow the market is chosen by now? It was so refreshing to hear, like, the young talent and the development team that are interested in this chain in particular, because what it does is, it's really just like, like you said, in a couple of years, like, who knows who else will find it and find Cash Tokens to be so useful and build who knows what on it. Like, it's so exciting to see from, like, looking today backwards,
Yeah, and I think it's this whole market is spoken thing. That's one of the biggest, like, false flag myths of all time. Truly, it's every time that people say that, my response has just become, so can you give me the exact UTC timestamp that it stopped speaking, and what was the final price? Because that just finishes the argument right there. Then they say, oh, like, there's no way around that, because they can't say it was at this time, because then I'll just say, well, what about this time 1 second later where the price changed again? So there's no winning against that argument. So then it immediately becomes a backing off to, oh yeah, but you guys are just slowly dying or something like that. And so then it's like, all right, so I've already got you. So 5 seconds ago, it was 100% over. You've now shifted to 99.5% over. So in a couple of seconds, I've already won, like, a small concession. Things are not that binary. And when somebody adopts such a ridiculous binary position and you push them off it, it's just such a crushing win for anybody who's watching that argument. So that's been my latest strategy on that front. But yeah, it's ridiculous to think that BTC or any crypto has won. The other good way to do it is to say, well, hasn't the US dollar already won then? Because that just flips it around on them that, like, there's always a bigger fish. Exactly. The market has spoken. US dollars are the best currency in existence.
Let's all go home now.
Always will be. Yeah, give up. Exactly. Exactly. So for this episode, because you're coming back on, I realized, okay, if this is a yearly thing at the end of April, we need to have a bit of a theme or some kind of continuity to it, right? So I thought maybe we could try this one of a school report card. I know you're a dad, you've got kids, so I thought this might be kind of up your alley. And also I thought it's well timed because the network upgrade is always in May, right? So being just shortly before that is kind of a good time to look at, well, what are the upgrades that are coming in? How are we doing on, other metrics, right? It's not all about the upgrade, because there's plenty of episodes focusing on that. But as a general overview of the ecosystem and being a recurring guest, you can kind of comment on, okay, so last year, the vibe was like this, and now it's like this, right? So yeah. I thought we could do a school report card. I guess this is how they do them in America and also how they do them in Australia. I don't know about the rest of the world, but I've got 5 areas: price, merchant adoption, full nodes, wallets, marketing, for us to chat about. And I have given them a grade. You can give them a grade too as we get to them, on the scale of obviously A, B, C, D, and F. And then you can have plus or minus, right? So A is crushing it. B is doing well, but, not top of the class type of thing. C is a standard pass, acceptable, but not the greatest. D is you're kind of failing. You've got some work to do. And F is you're just wrecked. So get your shit together. That's how I envision this scoring system going. So the first thing is the price, because we always talk about that at the start of every episode. I completely forgot to update this slide, actually. So let's just have a quick look at CoinMarketCap and see what the price is right now. It is $118.58 USD. I think we're down a little bit on the ratio of BTC and ETH as well too, but I haven't calculated them, so I don't know. For this, I'm giving us a D-. The price has just sucked for the last year, or just overall for all of BCH. It's not something we can fix directly, but of course, you just got to keep dollar cost averaging in and also building time and adoption to make gains there. I didn't want to give us an F because we're actually holding up okay against the USD. Like, BCH has just been stable. So even if the other cryptos are doing a little bit better, and we also aren't dropping down the crypto market cap, we've been in that range like 25 to 30 for, I don't know, it feels like years at this point. Probably last year we were at the same spot. So even if we're not rocketing up just yet, we're also not a complete, F failure. If we were just dropping down the ranks out of the top 100, then that's how I would judge that. But what do you think? Give us your take on the markets. How are you feeling this year versus last year?
Yeah, I feel a couple ways about it. I feel like, what is this whole crypto thing going to end up being in the long run? And I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. And part of an event I'm going to hold to me a lot about it. The goal is to be the world reserve currency, and that the world all finds this deep value in peer-to-peer electronic cash. And certainly that looks like a huge price appreciation from there. Then there's the other side of it is, what does losing look like? What does losing look like? And I try to be more okay with like what a losing outcome looks like is that, if you still want economic freedom, you're still going to have this tool that exists, and whatever that means to the market at that time is what will be valued. But, looking at, the CBDCs and things like that, I'm very concerned about. It's like, well, thankfully I have this tool that still allows me to, express myself economically, and, how much more people will value that. I try to encourage them for reasons why, and, so many people like crypto because there's been such this wealth effect, but like, what's the wealth effect, even if it doesn't lead to anything profoundly better than, the monetary system that we had before? So, well, I am still extremely bullish that the world will find reasons to really value peer-to-peer electronic cash more, even if we don't, and the price doesn't do everything that it should, because even though I think the market dynamics are there for it to do very well. Again, I not like where the price really is. It doesn't really bother me as much as it used to, especially with Bitcoin Cash, because of what Bitcoin Cash does for people in economic freedom. And I think it's kind of a more mature way to look at it these days than I looked at crypto at different times of riding price waves all over the place, having lots of money, having little money, whatever it's been,
Yeah, certainly the more you're able to integrate it into your life, the less I think the price matters in that sense. Like, there's probably, it's inversely correlated with how many transactions you make per day. Because if you individually, certainly I experience this, the more you have people to actually trade with in an economy, then the more you're kind of not that stressed about where the price, because you're actually using it. It's when you're not using it that that's what it becomes about. It's, did the number go up or down, right? Instead of thinking of it in terms of those people that you connected with and the goods that you bought, or I don't know. I've just recently been feeling a lot. Obviously, when we were in St. Kitts, there was a bit of a sort of instant network effect, which was really interesting to see, that we suddenly had so much little commerce running between people, right? People were trading physical cash for BCH there. People were buying and selling stuff. People were, linking up in different ways. Or if somebody paid for at a restaurant that you couldn't pay in BCH, then everybody else would pay them back in BCH. It was just fascinating to see that little economy grow. And it's something that I'm really hoping we'll see a more substantial effect of as we can get a bit more momentum and some bigger meetups and conferences happening. Because then when you concentrate everyone together like that. Like you think BDC Miami or whatever, they're going to have like 25,000 people. The reason that isn't a titanic shock to the local economy is because they don't actually transact in Bitcoin that much. If they did, every restaurant in the local area would suddenly be like onboarded and having to accommodate that. There would be no way around it, right? Yeah. So I think that's really something that I'm noticing more and more of, is that we've kind of got to just live it with the whole peer-to-peer cash thing.
Yeah, and certainly, you look at the coins that, I do think the market ranking, we've been in this area for a while, and I'd like to see us get back inside the top 20. And it feels like there's no reason we shouldn't. It's just, I think we all know too that the, kind of artificial market dynamics that have placed certain coins in certain areas, certainly Tether and things like this, have really skewed, I think the market will eventually get to. So I do think it plays out in peer-to-peer cash's favor. That's what it was rooted in. That's the real value of what the world wants. It's just how long can these artificial market dynamics hold up? And like everyone kind of, I've talked to different people. It's like, we need Tether to blow up. And it's like, what does that do to crypto? And then start from zero, and their Bitcoin Cash will, it really should be, and as we go through the report card, I'm sure we'll talk about like what we do very well against other coins. And certainly price is one that, we've fallen throughout the rankings throughout the years. We were once number 2 at one point, right?
Number 3. I don't think we never flipped 8th. So it would be number 3.
I think we did. Was
it?
I remember Vitalik tweeted, "Congratulations," and all of that. I'll send it to you after this.
I know he did that tweet, but I think he did that tweet when BCH was like number 3, just under 8. But anyway, who knows? I want to ask you though about CBDC, seeing as you bring that up, because when you said that, it struck me as that's something that's much more in the conversation now. That 2 years ago we weren't talking about that. That wasn't a thing, or if it was kind of a vague like idea far in the future. Now it feels like impending. It is on the horizon, if not already secretly heavily in the works.
Yeah, it's something we all really need to be talking about more. And I live in Florida, and we recently had the governor come out and publicly speak against CBDCs. And there's some other bigger politicians, Tulsi Gabbard, in the area that are. Actually, I should reach out, but I will. Like, I tried for my Bitcoin Cash charity golf tournament. We haven't heard back yet, but to have Ron DeSantis be our guest speaker this year. And I think if I could get dinner with him the night before and really talk to him about Bitcoin Cash and things like that, that'd be really cool. So we'll know here in the next couple of weeks if his calendar's there. And, but so just try to get, our coin in other people's hands like that. But, and it's good that there is some political fight against it to maybe prevent it or stop it in some areas. And, but like, again, that's my passion towards like why Bitcoin Cash is so important, because CBDCs come. And at the St. Kitts convention, John Swingle spoke, and he did such an amazing speech when he kicked off. And I've been in touch with him a lot recently. He's probably going to be a part of the tournament too. But just the way the fork in the road and what a CBDC future looks like, or a peer-to-peer electronic cash future looks like. And it's really terrifying, how your life and the way you spend money is going to be an algorithm into a social credit system. And it's all like all the dynamics are being built for this. When you really talk to someone about like, that's coming, but I have this other tool that can free you of that. That's kind of more like where I try to get the conversation of currently how I feel about crypto and why other people should learn about it, not just to get rich, but to really, again, you're going to need economic freedom more than ever because of CBDCs. But it's a big interest of mine lately, and it'll be a big topic around my Bitcoin Cash event this year. So.
Yeah, it's something that I think it surprised me actually how much it's starting to resonate with people, right? Because historically, of course, we all know that sometimes trying to explain crypto to people and tell them and blah, blah, blah. And firstly, it's like, I don't care. And then secondly, there's the element of, yeah, but I'm just in it to get rich, or I just heard about it getting rich, or I was worried that it was a scam. All of those things have been slowly fading away with time. But even once you get past all that, you need a proactive reason for somebody to say, yes, I really do want to get involved in this. And CBDCs kind of seem to be adding that to me, because when you talk to people about CBDC, especially what I often bring up is it's already a thing in China. You can already see videos in China. And if you're a political dissident in China, they just shut off your WeChat account and that's it. You're done. You can't get a train anywhere. You can't flee the country. You can't buy food. Just you are completely wrecked. And as much as there's a pessimistic slant that some people took out of, especially the pandemic and everything, that, okay, a lot of people will just kind of go along with whatever. On the other hand, there is still a good enough amount of people that kind of see how scary that is and want to at least be interested in an alternative, right?
Yeah, I always say here in America, it wasn't the Revolutionary War was fought and won by a minority, so it's you don't always have to have the exact mass on your side to change. And I even think with COVID, like, yeah, it was more people just went with it, but there still was a core of people that believe in something, and I think that community is alive in Bitcoin Cash, and that's why it's it's really the most interesting thing in crypto. And even though it seems like, and it was like in Bitcoin back in the early days too, and somehow it's got lost, but I think the fundamentals will be there for a long time.
Yeah, they say it's, I think, about 10% of, if you can get 10% of the population strongly committed to a position, then it tends to sort of drag everyone else
very true,
along with it. So that's kind of what we're searching for. So do you have a grade for the price? Do you want to give it a school report grade?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard, I don't want to be, you definitely. I mean, I think you have a good grade for it. I wouldn't give any higher or lower. It definitely, we're holding in that range. Under 100 was a steal. I don't see us going back there for a while. And it's like, eventually, the sooner like everything else goes, and like where, anyone that didn't want their Bitcoin Cash at the fork or this, that, like, where are the sellers? CoinFlex sold a bunch, all these people. Do we have any more sellers at this point? Like, who else is getting ready to dump a big bag of BCH right now? Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
So that's also like, I think there's someone left to sell it.
Yes, we've got the community comment of the week nice and early in this segment, because we just had this classic comment from Tom from Flowy. He said in the BCH Telegram, all these people complaining about the price not going up and ignoring that practically nothing of the last 5 years of innovation ever made it into the hands of end users are like people waiting at a train station for the boat to another continent. And I love that expression, waiting at a train station for the boat to another continent. That just like you've missed it on several fronts at once. And it's very true. It's a very relevant point that there has been a lot of innovation but also a lot of grind and struggle in the BCH community. And not a lot of it has got down to things that have got people excited. We're starting to see some of that now with BCH Bull, with Cash Rain and whatever, but they are relatively recent in the grand scheme of things. And all the protocol innovations and stuff that have led up to cash tokens, well, we're here now, but we haven't been there. So it's not actually been, that surprising that we haven't had huge floods of users as yet. Okay, that's enough about the price, coping about that. On to the merchant onboarding. So obviously I want to hear about your new restaurant that you've got going on and how you've been finding the little local economy in Florida. I also am quite curious, if people are coming in regularly, paying with BCH at your businesses. How's that all coming along?
So we do have we probably get two or three patrons or tables a month spending in it. And I was there last night actually, and I asked the server, I was like, have you dealt with any of them? He's like, Ryan, I've only gotten like one or two, but he's like, I feel like it's my fault. I'm not doing a good job telling the clients as well. And so I put it out there. Whoever gets the most amount of Bitcoin Cash sales will get $100 extra bonus at the end of the month. So there's different things I can do to encourage users and the restaurant to promote it and sell it. And, we're on the map. We have the sticker. We're hosting the events. People relatively know me. But there's more we can do to, not only onboard businesses, but onboard users and incentivize them. And actually, David Hudman, who you had on here too, he's done something really cool with Cracker Barrel recently. I want to go investigate more. But he wants to help me, and I'm probably going to add on to it, subsidize users too by offering a discount. I'm paying in Bitcoin Cash too. So that's another thing that we're going to look to implement here. The first, I just bought the restaurant there first. So the first thing was just getting it in and rehiring and getting like the business operating. I think that would make the first thing is, no, we got to get Bitcoin Cash adopted. so that's a high on the list, and we're working on it. So so it's going good. And I think with the tournament, I'm trying to build up as like this annual excitement, get some hype around it and get users and all that too. I think that'll continue to accelerate. But also I think just in general, now doing onboarding for over a year and things like that. I just think in general, when the price is lower, especially like I think you guys are Bitcoin Cash users, when the price is lower, you just kind of a little bit more frugal, in general. Then I think you'll see people get a lot more spendy in bull markets, just in general, people that hold crypto, just because they have more dollar worth value of that, or BCHs or Satoshis, whatever you want to call it, to spend. So as we are in I don't know is the bear market over yet? Have we bottomed, or but as we traject back up? But it was something odd that I hear a lot in onboarding users and businesses is they really the education is so poor. To like, oh yeah, that crypto thing didn't work out. That FTX guy like totally ruined the whole crypto thing. I was like, if you like. I try to say like just like he failed, it's just like how Silicon Valley Bank, he's just a custodian of money that failed. They fail all the time. It's not a crypto guy. Yeah, he had a crypto business, but at the end of the day, he was just a custodian of money that messed with people's money. It was like, so people just have they don't know what crypto is. And it's just how we teach them all, is a challenge, where this is a 13, 14-year-old invention and still so little people actually understand what it is.
Yeah, it clearly hasn't hit that point of the must-have app that everyone is, just downloading in droves. But I'm very sure that is coming either in the next bull run, or if not, definitely in the one after. And the reason is, like you say, this FTX thing, the huge news. Everybody heard about that, right? Everybody fucking heard about that. With the classic, of course, is always Mt. Gox, and everyone was like, oh, this is the end, it's over, blah, blah, blah. And however many people heard that Mt. Gox and Bitcoin was dead and yada, yada. And then over the next 10 years discovered that was actually not the case at all. Well, the FTX, that was like that moment at a global scale. I saw it on the news on the news I was in Australia, and they had something about that. And just when it's on ABC News, you just know that the 99% are getting this information. They had like one slide in there in the finance section. There's this same guy, anybody who's in Australia will know what I'm talking about. This same old guy who has been doing the finance since I was like 5 years old. And I remember I was so excited. It was a couple of years ago, the day when they added Bitcoin, because they always talk about, the price of gold, the price of oil, the price of the dollar, right? And the euro maybe. And then they one day they added Bitcoin, and I was like, this is it. This is vindication. Proof that what I was telling you all was coming true. They had this one slide in December about with the mugshot, of Sam Bankman-Fried with the hair everywhere and FTX and all that. So when crypto is back, like probably late next year, 2024 into 2024 time frame, once crypto is happening again, everybody will just be getting the message that it's not over. I think. So I'm feeling good about that.
Yeah, I definitely think, I'll respond like, oh, crypto's over. I was like, the Bitcoin Cash protocol is still processing blocks, verifying every 10 minutes. Like, what do you mean it's over? Like, we're still, I definitely think, every bull run will bring further education and getting closer to that, user app. And even again, I'm trying to remember how to pronounce his name, but the Cash tokens developer, like, it just still amazes me how like it's the new fresh blood that gets in around the bull markets, and then they work in the bear markets, and they create these cool things, and they bring it. It's I think they'll shrug it off, and they'll have a little bit more of an inkling, and either they'll be upset that they either lost their crypto, they didn't hold it properly, and the price would be much higher now, and then they'll dig in and really learn what they actually did. And it's funny how people treat their money. It's like, oh, now I'll learn. But yeah, it's that's actually for me is something that does a lot of merchant adopting. Like I get that a lot. People have no idea, but they just think FTX, because I guess, it became such big news. And that's been one little hurdle in adopting, where people are just like, oh my God, you could lose all your money. It's like, well, sort of, but not really, but
Another thing I think that's coming along at the same time, though, is people are also starting to question the existing financial system more. I've seen more of that than I ever have before. Inflation being such a big story. It's funny, when you're saying it 2 years ago, I'm sure on that show we would have said something about, yeah, obviously inflation will be continuing and so on and so forth. And now here we are, and that's it. It is really starting to kick up. I was looking at the Truflation index. I don't know if you've seen that the other day, but it's like nearly 20% in the UK and about 10% in the US. And now the government's numbers have actually adjusted up to match that, because they basically were getting exposed that somebody was doing a better job open sourcing the information, right? So now that has become a mainstream thing, and also just other banks blowing up and people thinking, yeah, what is everybody doing with our money? Whenever the next US government debt ceiling meeting is going to kick in, I'm sure people will be more, usually people would just, yeah, that's a thing that happens every year and we just don't question it. But I'm sure now there's going to be more and more people, yeah, what is going on here? Why do we have this stupid debt ceiling limit every year, right?
You bring up I haven't seen this metric, but I want to look at the Truflation one, because I've always been like highly skeptical of the CPI, and for good reason. And we talked briefly about Peter Schiff, but he was someone that, I would listen to, and he's always critical of it. But yeah, it's how this, I don't know. I'm curious to see what's in that basket for the Truflation versus like the consumer price index, which tells us what inflation is. If you look at the basket, it tends to move in a way not enough to scare people. But now it's gotten to the point where that can't even protect anyone. They can't hide by anything. And I've even heard people want to use like the Big Mac price index, like that. Like, has McDonald's become less efficient at building a Big Mac, or is the price messing with it? And that's actually a better indicator of inflation than the consumer price index. So inflation is definitely a thing that will bring more people into this economy. And really excited to see where we again have the same conversation next year, and it'll be, I think, certainly that when we do the price thing, Bitcoin Cash will be a lot higher, and hopefully higher in ranking too. But the whole market will just bring in users, and they'll be confused and find their way to a coin that will work.
It might actually be about the time of the halvening. Maybe Jett can just look that up for us. But I think it's actually in April next year. So we might be kicking off. You might get to be on the halvening stream. Yeah. That might actually be perfectly timed.
I think we're somewhere around 350 days, but who's counting? What do you got, Jett?
Yeah. 350. Well, maybe we'll have to do it a bit early, or maybe.
So this is for BTC.
Yeah. We're 30 days ahead of them. Oh, no, 21 days ahead of them.
Okay. So 342 days to the halvening.
Okay. All right. Good. So
get this party started, baby.
early April next year, then, and it should probably definitely be hopefully kicking off by that time. Then, one other thing I wanted to ask you about is when we were in St. Kitts. So I met Maria, who's your business partner. It was quite interesting talking to her because she was there sort of getting an outsider's sense, because at least from my perspective, what she had kind of understood about Bitcoin Cash was all directly from you, and you being excited about it, you being hyped about it and all that stuff. It's natural, right? And I think it's quite interesting. You can always see, because a lot of people listening to the show, I'm sure they're familiar, their friends and family and whatever, know like them as, the person who's really excited about it. And it's very interesting whenever you see that person then meet somebody else who's into crypto, and they sort of connect the dots that like, okay, this is not just they understand conceptually. Of course, there's people in the background who who are into this same niche, but then once they meet another person, it solidifies to their mind, like, this is what it's all about. This is the actual community that I'm hearing about and stuff. So did that make a big impression on her, or did it make her more convinced of all the Bitcoin Cash stuff you were doing with the business?
Yeah, she definitely has a better fully understanding of what it is, and there's a community behind it, and there's people that will travel from every corner of the world to come and passionately share in it, and that we have strong legs. She's caught somewhere between that, you've seen the practicality, the investment level of it, interest, and then also like there's this third element of people that I find in life that they're usually like done good in their career and all this. And it's like, I just kind of want to go vacation in Spain for a couple of months, and maybe changing the world's economic policy is maybe I'm just going to live out my days in a more relaxed way. And I find that a lot when I talk to, that's why the young people I think are so, and I'm not saying like not everyone's important, but they're so important because they have that fight and wanting to change things in the world where, I'm saying she's somewhere in between all that, but like, where my nature, maybe other people's nature, and it's like, well, we can really do something useful with this. And I don't know why when someone doesn't get as fired up about it as me, and like really, because I tend, even in my investing nature, just to invest in things that like I want to see the world, versus like I wouldn't invest in like defense contractors to fight wars, even though it may be a good return on investment. Money doesn't mean that much to me, like that kind of thing. So yeah, I think, but yeah, she understands a lot better. She's a part of an entrepreneur group that it's really cool, and that they've actually talked with Bitcoin Cash there, and talking about the issues of the current financial system, and talking about the banks. What we're seeing with banks failing is just a beginning to, and she's explaining to them how Bitcoin Cash can be an answer to this, and like they're open minded to it, and so that's very interesting. So she has taken a lot from it. Is she completely like weekly looking at the price and seeing what's going on, all that? Not quite there yet, but we got more work to do.
No. Well, that's kind of about what I expected, but that's really good to hear, because again, okay, she was more interested maybe in like having a nice time on the beach and their kids, but that to me, that kind of shows that shows the point of it, right? Is that it's good. Like the Bitcoin Cash community were having a cool event that people would be interested in coming to just for its own sake. And then, the BCH stuff comes along with it, right? That's ultimately once something starts succeeding, is not once you have the hardcore, rabidly, obsessed about it, but once other people can sort of work it in with what they're doing and say that's literally the process of it going mainstream. So
that's a real good point. That's a real good point. And I should think of it like that. Because I'll be like, how do you not see it? How this is like the most important thing in our lifetime? Like that's how I'll view it.
Well, that's it. That's what this show is, But not everybody in the world is going to listen to this show. At least not yet. At least not until we're,
but you're right.
The global economy.
And even like in the early, what is it, the Bitcoin gospel? Like, because it was like back then, I think it came out like 2015. And it was just saying how like every time someone buys something, they don't want to be making a political statement or something. They just want to buy a cup of coffee or something, or a hot dog. Like they don't want to just be like disobeying the government. They just want to like live their life. And there's like definitely like a highly, I guess, if you're saying like from a libertarian perspective, like it is like somewhat of a political thing, but like that's because there's a political fight to survive in it, not that we want to be political with it, just the dollar is so political too, if you think about it. So it's just an answer back to that. But yeah,
exactly. Just providing an alternative and slowly getting into people's minds. So for the grade for merchant adoption, I've given the BCH community a C. So we've got like a pass, but not a fantastic one. My reasoning for that is that the Bitcoin Cash City in Townsville, got to give them a huge shout out as always. They're doing some great work. Argentina, Florida, where you are, Slovenia with Go Crypto. We've had some adoption hotspots going in there. St. Kitts has been going okay, but has been pretty quiet since the conference. We haven't heard any more about that legal tender, which they promised the report on. There's been no report as yet, so that might just not really come together at all. Price improvement would help a bunch here, and also some better tooling would help a lot in terms of dev focus on slicker wallets and maybe some hardware integrations with tap to pay cards, stuff like that would be amazing. But the reality is that we're kind of spread thin with the small community size that we have. So I don't see anywhere really just rushing in with a nice circular BCH economy. So I think we're doing good on this, probably better than any other coin out there pretty much, but I still can't really say this is a front that we're crushing it on at the moment.
Yeah, when you compare it to other coins, there's no other community that really wants to use their coins more. And the fact that we even have the efforts we have, even going out there like onboarding users for Bitcoin Cash, it's like when I view that from like a market perspective, like I'm not competing against anyone too. Like in terms of crypto, I'm just competing against the dollar. And so I got to give us a high grade in that. Definitely can tell like the Dash community really likes to use their coins, and Monero certainly does a great job in the black markets and all that. And so I do think in terms of that, I would give it a higher grade. I give us probably maybe like a D minus. Give it a little bit higher. But yeah, definitely tooling. There's certainly what we have is very basic and simple, and it works. And sometimes it's fine too, right? Like it's peer-to-peer cash. Like in the cash world, just cash is very simple, peer-to-peer. So it doesn't need to be overly complex. But we do need, good integrations to get on that next hot app, or if Cash Rain can become like this really used. We do need the proper tooling. And then you say, is the crypto industry shifting away from the strategy? It's hard to say. Yeah, I mean, certainly most people don't care to use their coins, and which is strange from our community perspective. It's like, what are you trying to do here? You're trying to change the money we use, like use it. So I would give us a slightly higher grade. Yeah, St. Kitts, I'm not sure. I've heard, I'm not going to go down any kind of rabbit hole with it, but they're the arrest of Rolanda Bryson, bringing all kinds of drama and a video, and the adopters over there, I think maybe it causes a slowdown there. I don't think it's necessarily all going away, but I think it's certainly causing everyone's like, hey, we don't know what's going on. And it turned out to really be nothing in terms of crypto, which is unfortunate. There was this big uproar about nothing. So I think cooler heads will prevail. Price goes back up. And all that Bitcoin Cash sitting on that island, people will be like, this is it's now worth $300 or $400. This is a pretty good idea to keep this around. So I'm optimistic on St. Kitts in general, but certainly I think it's just a bear market in a series of events why we're slowed down a little bit.
Yeah. A pump would do a lot to suddenly get people interested again. I just bring up the point about the industry maybe shifting away from merchant adoption. That's kind of runs in parallel, but in two opposite directions. So the first is that maybe 4 or 5 years ago, especially around the time of the split and stuff, the BCH community was so much more on that. Okay, we got to do merchants and yada, yada. And as time has gone on, it's just proven that creating that physical network effect is so difficult, as when there's 1,000 things that can go wrong in terms of the tablet isn't charged and the person forgot their wallet and the people at the store have changed over and they don't know how it works. And there's so many extra hassles to that the crypto industry generally just piled more onto online type of strategies like the whole DeFi craze and all that, because you just need a few devs, and as long as they get that sorted and make something the end users want, then it can just scale out from there, and that network effect can build online with people getting into NFT communities and all that kind of thing, where they don't even need to meet up physically face to face, right? So in that sense, I think the industry has been moving away from that, and I think it's smart that the BCH community is also obviously innovating, and we're not regurgitating the same stuff expecting that to work. But on the other hand, as crypto penetration spreads, the opportunities for kind of incidental, oh, wait, can you just pay me in crypto, is going to get higher and higher, especially if there's a big bull run and loads of people are suddenly downloading the apps. I'm much more aware now of mates of mine and just in general discussion and whatever, that people are like, yeah, I have some crypto. Maybe they have it on an app that's custodial. Maybe they have it on their custodial Coinbase or on Robinhood or something, but they have some. And just if those got to the point where they could just one click and send it to me instead of paying me via bank transfer, that's how we do it, definitely. So I could see that might come back into vogue, which is why I think it's really important that as much as we should diversify our strategy, we also definitely can't drop that strategy, because if we're the ones with the best tools when that hype comes back around, we'll be first to capitalize, right?
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. In terms of we're using separate hardware to do our thing too, and when the volume is not there to keep the staff very fresh on using it, you definitely like it can like even ruin the user experience of using it. When it's not slick, you're trying to get in and out. So one thing there can be development with for at least where I specialize in like hospitality and further integration inside of the POS systems as that time comes. And I do think the online, so many things are done online. If you can, and I do think cash remains a great tool. Get more Bitcoin Cash in more people's hands and getting the right people to use it to get it in more hands. And then like when you have the foundation of brick and mortars doing it, it's like the use of the incidental use. Oh, you do take it here. Okay, I'll use that too. But yeah, in terms of the crypto world, the people wanting to use their coins and merchants accepting it, there really isn't. It really isn't a coin better than Bitcoin Cash at that. So from that perspective, I have to give us like for the top of the class like an A. But like I said, where we do lack in like the overall success of where we would want to be at this point, you can't say this is not. We're not where we want to be for sure.
And I also feel one of the best merchant onboarding strategy is to have merchants that just love crypto, basically, right? Because then, like, you're a classic example, right? Because you're so keen on it and stuff, there's no convincing needed. You're even prepared to go the extra mile to get the gear set up, to train the staff, to educate people, to put out stickers, all that stuff, instead of going to people and saying blah, blah, blah. If somebody can get interested in crypto on their own merits, then if they happen to also own a shop or a service or good or whatever, then suddenly they're like, no, now pay me in crypto, right? So I think that's also just as the natural spreading of adoption will also hit more of those people incidentally, right?
There is a bit of that, and most people do have a little bit of crypto. So the idea of getting some more by having some customers use it is not like a crazy idea. There's an insanely amount of people that have crypto, so it's. But like some people will not want to accept it and only buy it on their phone. It's like, what's the difference here, guys? So there's just general confusion. And but again, like getting people together, holding events like we're going to hold, and doing meetups, and just trying to get things that are more inviting outside of people that are going to like watch a long YouTube video, just make it more fun. I used to like the St. Kitts event, like people that are just generally interested and wanted to come and lay on the beach and hear about it some more, like. And just get more users involved that way. But yeah, it's this is all still new to me, being such a part of the community on like how much we've grown. And I mean, I feel like we have grown tremendous since our first podcast. So excited to see where we continue to grow, and really excited for this next upgrade. I think it's got everyone a little excited that like we're we do have such good technical core developers, and this coin's going to continue to change and evolve over time.
Yeah, so just before we get on to that, then, can you just give me some benchmark stats? Maybe we can check in on it again next year if we remember. So how many people came to your meetup? How many people do you regularly get at the meetup? And also, you told me before the show there was some BSV attendees as well, too, which I'm quite interested in hearing about.
Okay. Yeah, so we had a total of 19 people came. 2 people no-showed. This is going to be 21, 19. I live pretty close to Kurt Weckert now. He lives in Delray Beach, and he's only like 10 to 15 minutes away from my restaurant, actually. So him and I'm trying to remember the name of the developer, he's a really good guy, real smart guy. Both came out and joined and wanted to have a conversation. And generally there's a little, and I work with there's Crypto Connect Palm Beach that, sorry, someone watched my show.
All right, we're gonna have an unscheduled intermission here. Jett, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm just chilling.
Do you have any thoughts on what grade would you give the community on price and on merchant adoption?
Price, honestly, I wouldn't give it a bad. I'd give it at least a pass, so a C. Like, I was in BCH, in the fork days. So I remember purchasing BCH when it was like $800, $900. And I've earned much more than that at these low prices to cover any like unrealized loss. I do want to make very clear. And yeah, I'm still accumulating. Like I don't mind a low price. In fact, if we could go down a bit over the next 2 days, it'd be great for my any hedge contract.
What about the merchant onboarding? What's your grade for that?
Well, this was the first first year I ever got to go to a physical location and live off of BCH. So complete bias on my end. I don't care. That's an A+ for me. It was fantastic.
Sorry, my dog gets so upset when he hears about BSV.
Very righteously.
But yeah, I did hop back on it. They came out, Kurt, they're not like, there's definitely like synergies, they both sides are willing like to, we talked about, I was like, man, what do you think about like, they're able to like take people's coins from one wallet to another and you kind of have like this weak defense of it. And it just feels like, they're down to what, like $30 something now. And but they just think so much what they're doing to innovate in terms of like the large blocks and going where no one else is going, like is the right path. And even though they're delisted anywhere, I'm like, I asked them like, even like where can you even get BSV these days? Like, how do you expect users to like find your coin and buy it? And he just defended that. He's like, well, look what's happening in Bittrex and other people leaving the United States Coinbases saying that they're mad at these regulations. He's like, it may be hard to get crypto anywhere. So I'm like, well, I guess, but like that's so. I think he wants to stay close to BCH and I think Kurt would be like the last person to leave. But I definitely think the days of BSV are, I don't know. I don't see a real future for that coin, even though there's some really like decent people there and some fairly passionate people too. That it just seems like they can't get out of their own way of keeping any kind of fundamentals together for even though we talk about the price of BCH, but like we've dipped down last bear market, we found out like $60. We didn't even go that low this time. So, but where BSV continues to make new lows and they're doing something somewhat interesting by exploring. And I think that will, as it continues to fall apart, maybe, and where are they going to go next? They'll likely, and I see you have an ongoing thread and hear your feedback on it. Once all that falls apart, whatever they learned on their mega gig journey here, they can just bring that over to BCH.
Yeah. Well, here's the killer question then. So did Kurt and this other BSV guy, did they pay in BCH at the meetup?
He did not. He said he had like some left. I know. I'm like, dude.
Oofed. Okay, all right. Well, that's there's two ways to take that. On one hand, I can kind of respect the intolerant minority strategy, but on the other hand, if he paid in dollars, well, then there you go. What a sellout! So there's
he checked to see if he had any, and he didn't even try to push like me to take any BSV either. Which I was
right. Yeah, well, that's right. How's he not going to do that? He could have. I guess he could have tried to sell you on that and just said, "I've got some."
I would have heard him out. I probably would have even taken it, just to support the effort of crypto and like in the spirit of it being there. But about a third of the 19 people that came, probably about 6 or 7 paid with Bitcoin Cash, and the rest paid. And but like I was more giving it out. Some people that have never touched it. Everyone got some Bitcoin Cash that was there and educational for them. And I'm gonna do it every 60 days. It's gonna be the goal, and really kind of work with the network of merchants that are accepting it and build towards my bigger event. Trying to create a whole fluent ecosystem around what I'm doing. And there's another big group that I'm going to be working with. There's a something called Crypto Connect Palm Beach, and they throw all these events. And like the guy, like he lets me pay when I sponsor things in Bitcoin Cash. But like, well, you're doing meetups at bars. They don't even take crypto. And I'm like, just do them at my right. Like we take crypto here. Throw all your meetups here. And he gets like a few hundred people, and they're like all NFT people that don't even care about peer-to-peer cash, but like, I don't quite like get some of like the obsession with other things, but I'm not like against it either. But yeah, what do you see? Again, we talked about this year one. Maybe we'll kind of watch like the deterioration of BSV together and welcome them as nicely as possible. But what I see this thread going, and I have to ask you, how are you viewing this as someone that's like so in the conversation of things?
Yeah, well, on Twitter, I'm going to move away a bit from this for all the listeners and people who are following what I've been tweeting and stuff. I don't like that I do spend kind of about as much time sort of commenting on other stuff in crypto as I do actually talking about BCH stuff, right? I'm going to, over the next year, I guess, transition more into the BCH stuff, because we're going to have more coming out with cash tokens, and there'll be more to focus on there. But I do also have this idea. I might do one last big thread where I'm just going to catalog all the reasons that people always give, all those same tired arguments. I'll put them all in one big thread and then give a point score for each of them. And then I'll never need to argue with any of these people on Twitter again, because I'll just be able to quote tweet them to the exact same one over and over and over again. And it will just slowly stack up more and more and more views and likes as everybody's like, yeah, this has been used 100 times. Look at how many times he's linked to it. So I think that might just finish all the arguments there. By the 10th time that I've linked to, it's over. Here's an example quote tweet from 3 years ago, and here's 10 other times it's being quoted, right? So I might kind of do that, and then that will be my majority exit. But I've got this thread going where I'm cataloging the decline of the other cryptocurrencies, the other Bitcoin forks, specifically BTC, BSV, and XCC. I don't have too much about XCC in there yet at the moment, but they haven't hit on enough snags as to the decline of all the lies and stuff starting to unravel. So I think it's actually quite good. And the reason I have it there and I have it pinned is because I'm not so much speaking to the average person who just comes onto that thread and thinks, what is all this? Like, it's going to be a bit over their head. But it's really for the long timers, for some of these BTC people or other people in Ethereum maybe who've been around since 2015, since 2016, maybe, before the splits and everything, who understand all the context and history. There's a lot to it, because once you read this thread, I'm pulling together, there's quite a lot of different people in that thread. If you added up all of those people and all the different huge followings they have and stuff, it's really intended to give a sense of how much the narrative is falling apart. So I have a bit of a mix there of the BSV and BTC ones, for the exact reason that BCH is the only one that it makes sense to converge on, right? If a BTC person is more likely to come to BCH than they are to go to BSV or eCash, of course, maybe Ethereum, but BCH was in all of the splits, right? That's not an accident. It's actually because it's the central, most reliable one that still follows the original peer-to-peer cash vision. So
right.
all I need. Yeah.
Like, how is there not a fork over this change the BSV protocol about being able to take someone's coins out of someone else's wallet? Like BCH, we would absolutely have another fork if that happened. Like if you said like you could do that, and and it's part of like our. I never thought of that. We were part of every fork. BTC can't. We are. It's where I think in the short term it's caused us. A lot of our price value, all the forks and all that. But we've really stuck on like this. These are the principles. We're not going to sacrifice. We're not going to be unuseful peer-to-peer cash. We're not going to let some big personality take over and to tell us how to run the protocol. You're not going to tax my coins. Like we literally we hold firm in a straight line. While it's been an Achilles heel to some extent, because we're not just grifting into whatever price value thing, but I had a comment on that. I've never thought that, we were part of every fork. Well, that sounds bad, but it's also like we're the core.
Well, that's right. And it's so in my mind, and this is part of what this show is about, is to hopefully realign everyone's understanding of the crypto story from being, Bitcoin and then Ethereum and all this other stuff sort of branched off it. That's how people by default think of things. But the true story of crypto on the rise of global reserve currency is the BCH. So the BTC people were more the sort of side off fork, even though they were the larger one, because the story, that's something people never really think about, is why didn't BTC have further forks and battles and all that? In the immediate aftermath, it makes sense. Okay, they were on the winning side, everybody was energized and stuff. But how was there not further political disagreement? In a vacuum, you might expect that the larger community would be more likely to have splinter groups. How were they the larger one, and yet they had less contention over it? Well, the answer, of course, is that they were already captured, right? So the ship was already set, and they had a lot of people who just, will shift their goalposts whenever a new narrative is presented. That's the actual reason. But then on the BCH side, the contention continued because it was still decentralized. There was still people vying for control and fighting over it, and there was potentially, sabotage with the whole BSV aspect, or maybe even the putting the tax coins in there. Maybe there was meddling to that. There's obviously people with different interests, and it was really the proving grounds that BCH could resist every kind of attack, right? The attack seemed to have, and then there was coin flex as well. Like, some people have more of a conspiracy angle to that, right? Why is all this action going on in BCH if it's over a small dead coin? No, that's where all the action is happening, right? And it's kind of amazing. No matter how low the price goes or how much everybody thinks it's done, no, it's still where the main game is. And so for this thread, it's really just about, because somebody like, what's his name? Eric Wall, or what's his name? Who's the guy who does BitKit, and what's his name? John something. Anyway, one of them, they both have quite large sort of reach. And all I need to do is hit on one or two of them who read this thread and realize I need to listen to this guy's show. And then they'll listen to it and they'll realize, wait a second, this guy is right. And then if they can swallow their cognitive dissonance, they'll be on board. They might not make a big show out of it publicly or whatever, but I've collected enough there. There's enough clues, enough breadcrumbs along the way that if you haven't been following this closely, or you didn't notice all these different people commenting kind of in the same vein, but when you see it one after the other, bam, 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 on the timeline like that, January the 22nd, January the 30th, February the 14th, March the 1st, you can really see how it's progressing and how more and more people are getting disenfranchised with the whole BTC falling apart, and with BSV the same, right? So when it comes to Kurt, for instance, I haven't quoted him in that thread, I don't think, yet, but he certainly made a few comments that I could probably put in there, but I have to be selective because otherwise it's just a low signals to noise, right? But with BSV, particularly at the moment, it really seems to be on its last legs. I completely agree with you. From everything I can see, some of their core people that were left kind of moved over to the inscriptions on BTC. They went over to that because, ironically, BTC has now become the mini BSV with storing JPEGs and ordinals and all that, right? So yet again, it's that same peer-to-peer cash, because we've stuck on that path originally. That's now paying dividends, maybe not in terms of the price, but in terms of the fact that everybody's still cohesive and it's still the same thing, and it's becoming less and less tenable for BTC. They kind of went off into this whole digital gold thing, but now some of the most influential and excited people are the ones into the JPEGs. So then they're going to be like, what are you talking about, digital gold? And that's, they're having their own internal tensions there, right? I don't say the taproot wizards, as they call themselves, the ones doing the ordinals, and Eric Wall, Udi, what's his name, Nick Carter. Yeah. I don't think that they're not going to be able to win a civil war on BTC, though. They're doing some good work. I've actually been quite impressed with that. They've tried to bring back some of that creativity and energy and interest from the early days of, instead of just where this captured digital gold, they've kind of got the message that they were on the wrong side of things there. But now they're trying to kind of post-rationalize their, the network effect of BTC and like, guys, we can still save it kind of thing. That's not true, because the problem is they do have a lot of clout, a lot of energy and excitement, but they're not the entrenched players. They just aren't. They don't have the devs. Those guys are not devs, and they don't have the connects in with Bitcoin. That's what the whole original war was over. It was over essentially the control of the core repository, because with that you just got so much legitimacy that then the brand followed it. All the node operators just downloaded it mindlessly. What was the next upgrade, right? Very disappointingly, I thought people would be more aware. They weren't. But in the end, that's what it was. So those critical levers of power are still held by the sort of more traditional laser eyes camp. So the Taproot wizards saying, oh, okay, we're going to do it a 2 megabyte fork that briefly got floated, but I haven't heard any more about it. It's just not going to work. But what they could do is they could realize, wait a second, BCH is the savior that's been sitting there the whole time. Let's jump on board this. I mean, it's hard to do because they're going to have to take such a public L to do it and say, but maybe if things degenerate in their own conflict enough, they can say, yeah, screw you guys. Actually, BCH is now closer to what we want, which is a bit of cope, but maybe they can wrangle it that way, right? And the same thing is happening on BSV. If you notice, like some of these people have now left recently. Joshua Hensley, who's another guy like Kurt, he's on the payroll at CoinGeek, so he's not going to be making any fast moves out of there. But even to him, he's putting out videos like, were we wrong, guys? And of course his answer was no, not really, but he's thinking about it. He's making content about that, and it's really starting to set in on them now that things have been, BSV has now been, what, 4 years? It was in 2018. So we're coming up to 5 years since they kind of went to do it their own way. And they're like, when you're in the minority side, it's very easy to think, guys, we're going to show them up. We're going to win. We're going to, that's what every minority fork has thought. That's what BCH thought. That's what BSV thought. That's what eCash thought. Of course you think, no, the stupid idiots who are in charge, like, we'll show them, we'll do a better job. But so far that hasn't panned out for any of them. And of those 3 cases, BSV has done by far the worst in terms of realizing their vision, right?
It's interesting in BSV's case too, because they had Radiant and Novo, and I'm almost certain Radiant was a BCH fork. Like Daniel Kraywitz's Matter Pool, like, oh, we're going to do BSV, but without the Bitcoin Association copyright stuff. And then rather than forking BSV, they forked BCH. And like,
really?
Yeah. So this is all coming back to everything starts with BCH. We're the most consistent peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And if you want to do something, you want to make a side chain for us, go to it. Like you're coming home.
Well, Nexa did the same thing, right? The Bitcoin Unlimited team have done Nexa,
right?
Which is technically not it's a fork, but there's 2 kinds of forks. It's a fork of the code base, but it's not a fork of the blockchain. So they started from the BCH fundamentals essentially, but they also started, wiped out all Satoshi's coins and everything and started from block 1, which is completely fine. Fair enough. They wanted to do their way. They did a different thing. But what did they choose? BCH, because no doubt it has the most solid node protocols and the fundamentals of what you actually need to cook up to make a workable currency. Everybody knows that. So that's the thing. As BCH has just been slowly forging along, step by step, it's like a marathon runner, right? Real life is a marathon, not a sprint, especially for technologies. And so we're just slowly winning out, inch by inch, these niches. And people who have these wrong-headed other ideas, like in BTC, they had a lot of momentum, so they got quite a long way, but it's now starting to come unstuck quite a bit, really, with Michael Saylor being in charge of the community at the top of the pile saying, guys, we need to coexist with the US dollar. Like, the cognitive dissonance is truly starting to get flowing among some of the people there. Who are on that side. Wait, are we really the cypherpunks? Lightning Network hasn't really panned out, right? That's a mess. BSV, like, eventually just Craig Wright's lies have been exposed enough that even the people involved are starting to think, this is not, what? Another lawsuit. As he just announces, I'm going to be in another lawsuit, which he'll claim he wins after he's lost. And only on his own outlets does it explain how it was a glorious victory that the judge awarded them, where on every other, like, he's now potentially going to be in contempt of court for lying to them over and over, and eventually he's just going to get put in jail or something if he can't keep dodging these bullets forever.
It's sort of like a sad life. It's like that. Is that what you just want to live your life in court, suing everyone, all this, and that? I mean, that's why he's getting delisted everywhere. We're not going to be on our exchange. You keep on suing us. Stop suing us.
Yeah, it's the most fascinating thing, right? Because almost any other, like, the cryptocurrencies are generally not fighting that much. Like BTC and BCH, people will debate and all, but the miners are not out attacking us from BTC. You know, they're not raiding our meetups or anything like that. BSV is so bad that the entire industry is like, okay, you guys, we have to put a stop to this. The live and let live does not extend uniquely not to BSV because they're causing so much
And
shit that they started.
I don't think the coping will be that incredibly difficult for people to come back to BCH. You know, they could tell some story and justify it and be like, go back to the tweet of Gavin Andreessen saying Bitcoin Cash is what I worked on for all those years. And you even saw, and like it's odd now. I'm not sure if you follow much of Richard Hart. Like he was such a difficult mind during the block size war, and he was such a good debater. Like I've gone back the last year, I think, and watched the debate he had with Roger Ver, and like. He was such a good debater, even though he was wrong. You could feel like he won. And then years later, all he does is shit on the maximalists that he fought so hard, and he talks good about Bitcoin Cash often. So like the coping isn't like that hard for these people to unravel. And when you just look at how lost, this whole community of peer-to-peer electronic cash, and this whole idea has gotten, and we're still there. I think a return to home is not that hard of a trip to get to. And like I said, Sailor leading, insane we need to coexist with the dollar, and just hemorrhaging investor money into making it work. And who's he gonna have to sell it to? Like he's got so much, like how can he literally even sell that much? It's silly. I don't think the coping will be that hard because the fundamentals are just so simple and aligned. I know the biggest complaint is they feel like the co-opt of the brand, and we can debate that back and forth, pretending to be Bitcoin and all that. And that's such a lost conversation. But it's like, if we're pretending to be the brand, yet we're still using blockchain. They don't even want, like, I'll always say, like, why didn't, if Satoshi was so great and you guys love Bitcoin, like, why didn't he create the Lightning Network? Like, if that's if that's the answer.
Well, one thing they will say is that he did, and it is true. I believe there is actually a Satoshi quote where he talks about, nobody has any idea. Gosh, we're just going to start another Jeremy rant here, but nobody has any idea how fucking genius Satoshi was. It's actually ridiculous. Everybody is kind of like, yeah, Satoshi was so smart. He came up with this revolutionary invention that this is like people that don't even understand, can't even comprehend the white paper. Like Satoshi was such a genius. But if you can actually read the white paper, it's not okay. It is about money and stuff like that. But as the technical document, the fact that it all checks out, the engineering actually checks out. It's insane. And then the fact that people say like all this DeFi stuff, and what if Satoshi knew about all of that? Can you imagine? He's like trying to explain to people, cavemen. He's like trying to explain to them fire while in his mind, imagining the rocket ship, right? It's just nuts how far ahead of the game he was. But
and not to go too far down this little rabbit hole, but did you see the you may have covered on a previous episode, and stop me if you did, but the Mac computer with the white paper in it that came with it?
Yeah, we talked about it in one of the recent episodes. Yeah. Great news for BCH, of course. Fantastic. How many people fucking read the white paper finally?
Right, finally, right. But I thought that was interesting. There's the way the dates of Steve Jobs' death and his disappearance, and even though he wasn't a developer, but like I was playing around with like Wozniak, like loved Bitcoin from an early time and understood from a technical level. Like if they had this one last project together, that would be cool. But I think it's a very unlikely problem.
That's an angle I've never heard. That was one I didn't know about. Steve Jobs, the secret Satoshi. What year did he die?
He died shortly after, a few months after Satoshi disappeared. So like the dates like check out a little bit, and it's a fun little mind game. I think it's not probable, but like it could work out. It's an interesting thought experiment, but even though it's not
my favorite theory, but it's a good one. I like it. I did like it. Yeah, certainly not where I would be putting my bets on being Satoshi, but it is nice that it lines up like that. Anyway, so that all that is to just say, the narrative is falling apart in these other coins. Time is just slowly cutting away all their lies and delusions. And it's unfortunate that they're going to have to cope and come back. But like you say, I think there's enough there that they can sort of rationalize it. And for somebody like Kurt, if he's listening, please come back. You're welcome back into the community. I really think it's important that we offer sort of a hand of friendship to these people. Of course, when they come back, should we immediately then listen to all their ideas? No, probably not. Probably if they come back and say, no, guys, we BCH is great. I love BCH. I want to be part of it. But why don't we just add some more on-chain wizards? No, sorry, you guys had your chance. You did it your way and it didn't work. So maybe just, take it, come into the room. You're welcome in the room, but just sit by the side and just listen in for a while. You've burnt your chance to be guiding the ship right here. But you're welcome on board. That's kind of going to be my attitude, because it will be very helpful. And hopefully some of those people can understand, okay, some of our ideas didn't work out, like however we want to, say it to ourselves, basically.
Yeah, I think there would be enough there to hear everyone. And and then just like I said, Kurt, maybe he'll learn how to spend his crypto at my restaurant by then. You remember, it's a cash system, just use it for that. But yeah, no, that's like I said, besides that, they were good. There was, I forget the developer's name. He's been around for a while, a long time in the Bitcoin days too. And he's very tech minded. So they do have some talent over there. And like I said, we have all opportunity from the old people that may come over. And then again, we have new people coming into crypto every day. We had a ton of newer people that were introduced in the last bull market. We have a lot more people. And they don't always find Bitcoin Cash right away. They could be working in Litecoin or Ethereum now and all that. And, it's so interesting when I see these new people in the community and what got them here and why they're fired up. And it's a good reminder. We've been here for, since the fork days, but it's still excited to see new people come in and getting excited about peer-to-peer cash.
Yeah. And just one final point on that is that people don't really understand that a lot of what is built or is done by those people, they're huge value adds, because they're going to have to drop some of the fringe stuff of what they were doing, but a lot of it's transferable. Like Kurt, for instance, he runs a big Bitcoin mining pool, right? So all he has to do is just download the BCH software, kind of give up on some of his other stuff that's a bit nonsense, and boom, now the BCH community has another solid miner who already knows most of the history, already was involved in a lot of the stuff, already has a lot of credibility and rep, and can say to everyone, okay, guys, I changed over to BCH, but it's still Bitcoin. What I was telling you about, probably half the people he's told about Bitcoin have forgotten that it was BSV anyway. If he told them, BCH, they wouldn't even know the difference, right? So those people, or Eric with his Taproot, with his stuff, all the clout he has and everything, that is all transferable. So it's really not that big of a deal. Like if we can get those people over, there'll be huge value add. At least I think what we're saying here is all these people know that they have a plan B. Exactly.
We think
Bitcoin is the plan B for the plan B.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm looking forward to the first tweet that's one of those people in that thread does, where they say like, guys, I fucked up. I'm moving over to BC. At some point, somebody's going to make that tweet, and then I'm going to put it in that thread. And it's going to be ballistic, because then everybody can look at, as I've documented, the little problems all emerging, and then the first person to break ranks, that'll be it, because that'll just signal to everyone else, you got to jump in on this now, because if you don't, you're going to be left behind, right? Social consensus is such a weird thing. It's gradually, then suddenly it just dies.
Because it's in their subconscious, like you said, the breadcrumbs you're leaving out there, and when it takes one person to have the courage to say, you know what, I gotta follow my sword a little bit here. This other person did. Let's join. So yeah, I think in terms of dynamics, but again, that's one community. There's several other opportunities, and then there's the people that every day, that are joining. That's what gets me so fired up. Is honestly the new people. Again, the old people there. I like it, but there's the market. We're barely $1 trillion market, so there's still so much more to be had, so many more users. And that's why we're here today, and we'll be here for Christmas and next year too.
Right. So let's crack on with that then. So the next subject on our report card, the next, well, what do they call it? Class. The next class is the protocol / node development. So for this one, I have actually given us an A-. I think in this case, BCH is genuinely an industry leader, and there's not too many holes in that. Cash tokens coming out. Obviously, the other sort of related updates as well too. We've had strong updates the last couple of years, which have led up to this. The chip process is working really well in terms of the cash improvement process, the governance process. All that's doing great. BCHN, Knuth, and Verde all have cash token support already ready to go. Bitcoin Unlimited is working on it. BCHD, they're a bit shaky. And Flowy, I know, is not prioritizing it because they've got some other stuff that they want to work on first. But the point is, we have a bunch of node implementations. That's all being rolled out. We've got some industry-leading tech. It's very solid at the technical level. And you can see, at least I can see, because I follow this stuff quite closely, over the last couple of months, and we'll see a ton more of this over the next year or so, that some of the innovation, because cash tokens, it's all been already prepared, right? The spec has been written and all that, it's starting to roll out. But the dev action is now starting to move up a layer into the tools, and that's why we've been seeing flip starters for mainnet.cash, right? LibAuth has had recent V2 releases. These kind of things are bubbling up. What's his name? Chris Troutner, he's doing a lot of great work as well too there with the Permissionless Software Foundation. Like that kind of layer of things is now starting to get a little bit more attention and has been for a while. And so the next layer after that is going to be end facing user apps and so on and so forth. So it starts at the protocol level and then bubbles up over a period of 2 to 3 years, right? And so stuff like cash tokens has been in the works for more than 2 years. The PMV3 initial stuff like that was in 2021. So we're crushing it. I'm sure there's no other coin that has anything remotely close to how powerful and technically solid this is. And that will be, like you said about me making predictions and stuff like that. I think people are sleeping on this, or they're even unaware of it. It's a point I made in the Telegram group recently that things have a lag time. So even for people who are quite involved, like even people in the crypto industry, that they might think, oh, BCH, they might still be confused about the difference between BCH and BSV, or the last they heard it was in a civil war with like XCC and don't really know what happened to that, right? People don't refresh their due diligence. I'm sure I'm probably 2 years out of date on what's going on in Dash or in Monero or something like that, because just whatever their cutting edge stuff is, it hasn't filtered out through the general consciousness into, oh, wow, I really need to look into this or hear about this, or there's no exciting development to get me to read up on whatever they're cooking up, right? So I think in 2 years' time, if I had to make a prediction for our call in 2 years, I'm sure at that time there will be some people finding Bitcoin saying, wow, it's cash tokens. This is killer. We're releasing it now, but they'll find out about it in 2 years once there's already 5 apps and one of them gets big, and that's how they hear about it, right? But those foundations have already been baked in. So yeah, I think we're doing fantastic. The things that I would like to see improved here, I mean, well, it's already an A-, it's already excellent, but just some more nodes being run. I think BCH still only has, about 1,000 nodes or something like that. Hopefully, as we get more devs into the community, especially, but just as the community grows, hopefully we attract a few more people who have their home node set up. Maybe some BTC people who already run a node, they run a BCH node next to it. Some of these BSV people as well, they would be classics to get back because, we've got our giga blocks or whatever, so it should be no problem to run a BCH node. But I think we're crushing it on this. What do you think? How are you feeling about cash tokens and protocol type innovation?
I'm very excited about cash tokens. And like I said, I don't know exactly what other, you're not that close to communities where the innovation is there, so how it compares. But yeah, I do feel like, just the level, even like And you're seeing other innovations, like let's say Ethereum changed to proof of stake, and again, they try everything they can to improve their fees problem, and it never goes away. And like we have that so foundationally taken care of, where we're a low fee chain, and if we can still create more innovations, and people can find our chain and not want to spend the silly amounts of money to be over there and have their money safe on chain, which we have the whole smart BCH issue, which we dealt with doing things off chain, that we solve the issue of counterparties, but doing things at the protocol level. While you brought up good in your last episode that the price ain't going to go ballistic on May 15th, but it's the foundation that in 2 years from here, the reason why we're doing so well and gaining more market share is because what we did on May 15th that took 2 years before that to build. It's not these instantaneous things. It's not get rich quick per se, which a lot of crypto has. And while I don't fly as close to the sun on the innovations of other projects. I think Bitcoin Cash having innovation, having low fee, that makes it so attractive when we start pulling from those other communities. If we can allow innovations to take part at that level. BCHD, is that who runs that? Josh?
That's Josh and Chris Troutner, I think, were the two kind of involved in that, but they've both got a ton on their plate.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, not Troutner.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Like, my bad then. Sorry to both of those people.
Well, I hope they do support. I'm sure they will at some point. But no, yeah. I mean, so I would say just from my own level, and even with a coin that I think you mentioned you were slamming a little bit on an ICP computer, which has Bitcoin Cash, on how they just get like this VC money to pump. Like we don't have like VC money to pump. We just have a core development of people that like really believe in something, and we don't have like the biggest price appreciation to throw around a ton of money, and we're still just making things happen. And I think that's a real community, real fabric, really something that can build and mold off of. So yeah, I think it's great to see during the bear market. And again, in 2 years when we're in 2025 and people, it puts us in the headlines of new innovations and people using our tool that have found crypto because it's so much more useful. I think it opens that opportunity. So I would probably say, well, I can't see what everyone else is doing given the circumstances. We don't have VC money flooding in. That was so funny how you're shitting on them. Anyways,
the ICP, really, they got it. They just seems to have got a bit of a response because I had somebody come in the YouTube comments and try and like rag on me about it, saying, "Why are you shitting on ICP? Their coin is doing better than yours. You say that there's no community, blah 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 blah." And I said to them, like, "Okay, well, ICP might have pumped up the rankings, but do they have an ICP podcast? Can you link me to that? Where is their community discussion? Where is their 78 episodes with a whole variety of interesting people that are passionate about the project?" Like that doesn't exist. When at a Telegram groups, are there people excitedly chatting about ICP? Maybe there's a lot of bots saying when admin or whatever, but there's not real people in there, right? Where is the Reddit community? Where is all the Twitter banter about ICP?
Our Reddit's up to we're over 1 million people, man.
Yeah, but it's pretty dead. Like there's not as many people in BTC. By the way, shout out to /r/cash tokens and /r/Bitcoin Cash podcast. Get in on those hot up and coming subs. But yeah, so this guy was just trying to say to me, "Oh yeah, ICP, why are you like ragging on that?" And I mean, that's fine. If ICP is doing great, it's doing great. But it was just funny because he tried to say like, "Oh, your episode only has 241 views. Like that's nothing." And I said, "Well, how many views has your podcast got?" Fucking zero. So, if you had one, you might discover 241 views isn't
241% better than you.
That's right, exactly. Yeah. And that's even with the, I mean, there's also the audio downloads, there's the Twitch, there's a lot of stuff. So but it's just funny. It's
thousands of people by the end of it,
Yeah.
So I would join you there, especially with the we all have to hold back our expectations. Nothing exciting is going to happen right after May 15th, but it lays the foundation of things to happen over the coming years. And so I would join you right there. A minus, B plus, and you could probably speak more from the technical level as you do development. But I would be interested in getting involved on somewhat on helping out with the node side, and I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of mining at my warehouse. I'll probably have to get a little technical help to get me set up, but I'd like to play my part in that, and hopefully I can help that side of it.
Ask Kurt about it.
Yeah.
That'd be classic. Hey man, help us set up some BCH mining. That'll show him which ways the wind is blowing. If suddenly the mining is kicking off you say, I don't want to mine any BSV. Don't give me any of that nonsense. Like only the real peer-to-peer cash. No gigablocks.
Right. I'll probably start towards the end of this year. We got some money coming in. We'll probably buy some ASICs and get something set up over there. But I got some extra.
That would be super sick.
What's that?
Oh, that would be so sick.
Yeah. I'll get it going. It's been on. It's on the roadmap. We're gonna do it at some point. The end of this year seems probable. So.
All right. I'll have to remember to ask about that. Next year. Do you have a grade for protocol nodes? How are we doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna just I think probably because I'm so excited about cash tokens, and I'm gonna lean towards that A- number. And also the hedge guys, those guys are fantastic. I'm gonna again with my new videographer bring the channel back. I want to show people how to use Bitcoin Cash as stable on chain. Those guys, and just going and Troutner, spending time with these people, which I've had the opportunity. We do have some fantastic minds, and it's just we're a different community than others. We're not the get rich quick. We're building things to change the world, and we believe that will get us rich in time, and we're not willing to sacrifice on it. And those are the kind of people that like when you run a company, like I run businesses. When I have people that are there because they love the company, my company's run so much smoother versus people that are there just to make money. It's very intertwined and it works, and we have that, and that's a huge competitive advantage to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Fawad says every May 15th adds to the snowball, and I think that's true. That's something. That's also another reason that I'm doing this thread and trying to get people to look into it, is because you really have to understand that, okay, it's now been 5 or 6 years. BCH has got a lot of stuff in that people just don't think about or take for, like the difficulty adjustment. That was a huge thing. That was a whole, like, maybe not cash tokens level, but that was a whole thing that the community had to debate and discuss and get in there and roll out in all the nodes and everything like that. And now BCH is just fine at any hash rate, basically, because of that. And that's not something that anybody ever considers, but that's just paying dividends day after day after day after day. And if the BTC side ever realize, oh, wait, we're in a bit of a mess and we got to catch up, well, they're not even at step 5. They're at step -4 because they've already put in SegWit and Taproot. They put all this garbage into their chain. They've got ordinal wizards in there like that they're going to have to disallow, and that's going to create a disaster. And like, it's just no contest really. But hopefully some of the OGs can look at these threads and realize what's going on. Okay, next one is the wallets. So I'm giving us a B- for the Bitcoin Cash ecosystem state of the wallets. Now, the negative side is that the Bitcoin.com wallet is falling off a cliff. I'm sick of it. Like, it's just got more and more ads. As a whole company, they're moving away from Bitcoin Cash. They're not going to be rolling out cash tokens live, which is fine, for everything. I'm not saying there's any problem with Bitcoin.com. I'm not beefing with them. All I'm saying is they're certainly not prioritizing BCH at this stage, and that's a shame because it's been such a hallmark of the community and the updating. So that's a big negative. But the positive is that the alternatives are emerging. That's the beauty of the free market right there. As Bitcoin.com have been slowly declining, we've been seeing a surge in alternatives. Paytaka is absolutely crushing it. I do intend to do some more focus on all the stuff they've been doing at some point. We just haven't found the right time and place for it. Zapit have also been doing really good work. Obviously, we talked about the cash tokens wallet from Matthew last week. Stack Wallet, who I don't know very much about, but they're kind of a multi-coin wallet. They have been hyping up BCH more and getting more involved. And obviously, if we can get a bunch more of momentum, then other wallets will also suddenly get excited to build on BCH or to make it more prominent to their customers or in their, put it on the homepage or whatever. There's loads of wallets. There's the Edge wallet and there's obviously the Coinbase wallet and Binance wallet and whatever. So if we can get a bit of momentum going, then suddenly the wallet problem will partially just solve itself because everybody else will pile in. But for things like cash tokens, they are a specific thing. It's not like they can just copy paste in their BTC code, right? They have to go to the effort to do it. So that will take a big hurdle to get going, but I'm confident that we can get there. And I'm very glad to see that, even though I don't think we have the world's best array of wallets just yet, I see the promising alternatives are coming through to replace the sort of failing bitcoin.com. So that's my take. What do you think?
Towards bitcoin.com, I had the opportunity to have dinner with Dennis Jarvie, the CEO, and some of their what are their name? They're really nice guys. I'm trying to remember some of their names. Jason, and there was one other one. Really nice guys. And I know years ago, as Roger stepped down as CEO, brought in Dennis. Overall, the vision of the company became less to be a coin agnostic business, but the general goal of the company is to create more economic freedom for people with governments. And I do think Bitcoin Cash fits in that fabric, but I think they want to be more multi-coin, and I don't want to get into verse and all that, but it's another story. I think they're so falling off a cliff. It still is a good wallet to use, and it's very usable, and the shareable link feature is very slick, and but I do think them moving away isn't necessarily a bad thing. But because I don't think they're leaving. Some of these guys are the most Bitcoin Cash that work with the company, but the most supportive people they were there for it all. And the dinner I had with them, I don't know so much about Dennis, his views, but the staff that was there that's been with the company for a long time, where they were so excited to come with me and buy a pizza and Bitcoin Cash at a restaurant now on board. They were some of the coolest. So I don't want to be, even though I want them to be coin agnostic, at some level, and I think they're waiting for Bitcoin Cash to prove more to them. I don't think they'll leave the coin entirely, but I do think it allows us to, have more development. So I know the pay tracker guys. I tried playing around with my phone. I don't think in the United States I have the access to do it. We got the rollout of Zap It at the St. Kitts conference, which was probably the biggest takeaway from the whole conference. We had such a ginormous company and user, that might be the biggest thing that ever happens from the whole St. Kitts thing, is that we have this connection from St. Kitts to India, and we have they're valuing the non-custodial version of it. It's not just some that was really cool. So and it's good to see people again. Bitcoin.com moving away again has opened up this opportunity. Even let's say with the Bitcoin Cash podcast, when the other big podcast, I'm trying to remember what Colin said, when he left the open opportunity for you, other people have that. It creates more market advantages. So the fact that we're diversifying so much may not end up being a bad thing. And as we continue to improve, I think as a company, I think Bitcoin.com, they're a business first. They're just trying to do very profitable things. I think that again, they will lead back home more to Bitcoin Cash. It's not deleted off the app, so I don't think, but I guess maybe share more of your perspective or your negative feeling towards it, I guess.
Well, the same as you. I don't want to go out. I'm not out bashing them. I don't think they're doing any damage, really. Just in so much as, they're in that position where I've onboarded tons of people to Bitcoin Cash, and usually that's the easiest way to do it. They've got the nice name there that people can trust. The nice little pops up, the nice green received and everything. I know it's going to work. It's great. I'm still using it today, right? So
yeah.
They're not doing that badly. Don't get me wrong. But on the other hand, I can just, I'm very forward thinking kind of person, So in 2 years, do I think Bitcoin.com is still going to be the best option? No. So from that kind of point of view, and I understand why they're doing it. I understand they've got business realities, and the first thing they need to do is not go out of business. If they go out of business perpetually chasing a Bitcoin Cash that wasn't working out for them, then that's no good for anyone. But on the other hand, every time, sometimes if I open the app and it pops up another one of those fucking ads, I'm just like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. So I'm really glad that we've got the alternatives with Paytaco. Zapit, somebody also suggested, decentrally focused, suggested Electron Cash. There is an Electron Cash mobile app also too. The Electron Cash desktop app is amazing, although it's a bit sort of power user focused. The mobile app is a bit limited. I think it's also only on Android, if I remember right. So it's good, but it's maybe not.
But yeah, your flip starter, I saw like some of the more recent ones came on. You could use just like the click to the wallet, but yours was just you had to use Electron Cash. You got funded so fast, I couldn't even get to my desktop in time to pledge. But
you can pledge the next one. But there's there was Saeed was making some upgrades to. Yeah, I wanted to do the one that you could just scan and send in. I did want to, but he was doing some maintenance on it, so. Okay. He had some kind of problems with people trying to like scam him somehow by like creating endless amounts of flip starters or something. So he was trying to figure out some kind of DDoS defense. I told him he should just charge $5 to host a flip starter paid in BCH. Would be obvious. I would do that in a heartbeat, but I don't know where he's at.
I've had some BCH lost donating to flip starters. As I don't know, like I got to make sure to protect the seed phrase first. It's weird on the phone. I don't know if that's what he's doing the maintenance to. But the experience in that hasn't been the best. Like I've lost money doing that. But
the key point is that there's actually usually a way to get the money back, which is that if you just donate enough to finish the campaign, then it will pay out. So if you trust the person who's running the campaign, even if you donated and then the flip starter got stuck, you could still do it, but of course you have to trust them, because if you send in the rest of the cash and they don't send it back, well then you've been scammed and you're screwed. But yeah, there's still some rough edges that need working out there for sure.
The early days.
When you say that you've lost funds, do you mean like you see it in your wallet but you can't spend it, or like you don't see it?
No. I donated to. This is actually Chris Troutner's the flip story did. I donated and. Then the money never went there. They never showed up there. And so I asked Chris, like, hey, I donated, not sure. And he looked around and like asked some other guys, and they just couldn't find it. And I don't think he got. They said it went some. So they said when you donate, you can like create a seed phrase, so like in case that happens.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that because like I never intended to get my funds back after I donated either. So it was kind of. But now I know, like, always protect everything. But like I said, hopefully that gets worked out.
I know if you're using the Electron Cash plugin, then it'll freeze those coins and you won't be able to spend them until you like unfreeze them manually. But yeah, I've only used the web wallet once and the campaign got funded, so I didn't. Nice bunny.
Oh, you see.
That's basically the trade-off, right? Everybody says, oh, we just want a wallet that you can just scan and send it in. Well, you can do that, but the way that works is obviously they've created a wallet on your behalf, which you don't have access to. So if it doesn't get funded, well, then you're not going to get it back unless you remember to back it up. And so then you've made it easier by you can just scan and you don't have to mess around with the plugin. But then on the other hand, now you have a new hassle, right? So it's really just a question of trade-offs with everything. So Ryan, hit me with a grade for wallets. How are we doing on that?
Maybe I need to go play with more coins and more wallets to give a better perspective. Like I said, when I introduce people to crypto, it's like the best experience they've ever had using the bitcoin.com wallet. But again, I feel like us not having a diversification that's like I feel that confident in to be a competitor yet is a problem. But in terms of usability, like I still don't like have a better one to use. So again, like I see you forecasting out, you see that this company is moving away from this. So I would say, yeah, I'd be right there. I think you're pretty spot on with that. And it's good to see the community speaking out and seeing that we need an alternative, and people like you that are so influential saying, guys, we need to. You brought this up to me, I think, well over a year ago. We need more wallets. And we're getting them, so that's even more positive. So I would say B minus. I'm right there with you, maybe a C plus. But again, like I've played around with Cake Wallet with Monero. I think it's cool for what Monero does, and looking at other coins. Waiting for like a real good non-custodial Doge one to come out one day. haven't seen anything like that. And like who else? Dash, they got their thing going on. But I can't really get into Dash. It doesn't excite me. But in terms of other coins, Lightning, if I've used Moon before, and I've had the payments not work and go through. Like that's like the non-custodial Lightning options, not very efficient. If you want a KYC into Strike or something, I guess, but that's not really. You're not usually using crypto, in my opinion, when you're doing that, so it doesn't even count. So while we're not doing the best at everything, we're certainly doing a lot better than others. So I think we're there. Jett, what's your opinion? I'm curious your opinion as someone that uses crypto so often.
I'm also home most of the time, so I don't get the push notification ads from the Bitcoin.com wallet so long as I am home, and thank God for that, because if I did, I would have uninstalled it already. I am so fed up with just online ads that I do everything in my ability to block them, and I can't remember where I was, but I remember being out and my phone going off, and I checked it and I was like, what? Like, it just immediately infuriated me, and I almost uninstalled it then, but I didn't have like another one that I had used enough to be like, okay, I know my funds are safe here. So they have trust and reliability for sure. Mm-hmm. Their marketing is abysmal and I absolutely hate it. But if they need it, I understand. It bothers the hell out of me.
Ryan, how much time have you got? I forgot to ask at the start. We only got 15 minutes? Or
I got max a half hour. My kids will be coming back. I got a little baby.
Okay. All right.
For this time.
All right. We're going to have to blast through a little bit of this.
Too much fun.
I just wanted to, we had too much time spent on BSV. Anyway, it's all good. I just wanted to add quickly, then we won't chat about this in detail, but just a note. So Venmo are now adding crypto transfers, which includes BCH, because we're in the big four with BTC, ETH, and LTC, I believe it is, that they're supporting. And that includes sending out of the wallet. So I guess the Venmo itself will be custodial, but at least you'll be able to send out of it. And I just wanted to bring this up in relation to the wallets, because it kind of makes the point that, well, maybe the wallets don't need to be the world's best thing. If they're just good enough to get crypto to a critical mass, then all the existing payment apps and whatever and so on will have to add crypto themselves. And then suddenly you've got millions of users, and they already have $1 million design teams and whatever, making it slick. So that's maybe another way we can kind of get there on the user experience front.
I didn't know. I didn't see that. That's huge. When this news just come out, like this week or something?
Yeah, it was yesterday or the day before, I think.
That
I only saw it today. So yeah,
I'm gonna have to download. My wife uses it. I'll use the PayPal side of it. We people want either or, we'll switch. But that's really cool. I wonder how easy it'll be to get BCH in people's hands that have Venmo.
Exactly.
That's huge. I mean, Venmo's huge, at least in the United States, I can say. Is it big by you guys?
No, not really. Seems to me mostly a US centric thing, but that's fine. I mean, 78 million people, that's a lot of people. And I think at the moment you can sort of buy crypto with it. It's kind of Robin Hood-esque, but now that they've added the ability to send and receive off it, I wonder if we'll see more and more of that, because I've definitely run into that in the past where my mates are down for some crypto, transfer, but I've got it on Robinhood. Oh wait, I can't send or receive from a non-custodial app, and I'm like, oh god, this is the whole point of what I'm trying to explain to you. Anyway, that's just worth thinking about. All right, cracking on. We got the marketing and content, so I'm giving us a C+ or maybe a B- for the Bitcoin Cash community. We're not crushing it yet. I do take the point, Mr. ICP shill, this is not the world's biggest podcast, and we're not going viral on Twitter or anything just yet. But on the other hand, podcast is doing well. It's growing nicely. This month, April, was the third highest month over the last year, and only fractionally behind the second highest month. And then the highest month was a bit higher than that. I'm just trying to remember the numbers. On the audio feed, we got 729 downloads, I think, this month of the podcast. And there was another month where we got 739 about 10 months ago. And a couple of months ago it was April. In February was the height at about 830 downloads, something like that. So we're not doing too badly at the moment, and obviously we've got the Flipstarter funded. The show just seems to slowly be getting more and more popular. There's more and more chat in the Telegram group, so that all seems to be doing well. B-Chat is crushing it. Bitcoin Cash TV, shout out to him. He's doing absolute, legendary work, especially hosting the stream to get us extra viewers on Twitch. That's been amazing. Joel Army Radio have been doing great on Twitter. Obviously, we had Callisti and Fiendish were running spaces. They've kind of died off a bit, but there's still some presence there. Bitcoin Jason, Mark Falzon, Chadwick Bailey. We've got Cypher Cat as well as a bit of an up-and-comer. So there's BCH content being created and produced. I think we're doing okay on that front, not crushing it, but a long way from failing when it comes to marketing and promotion, especially as it's a organic grassroots effort. Thoughts?
Yeah, you cut out there for a second towards the end, but I got you back now. Yeah, but I got the gist of it to after that. And like I said, I will be back now as I'm hiring, so I hope I'll get back added to the list of creating. I created so much content over the years, but I used to work. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Our connection is a little issue. Sorry, I don't know what happened. There's some little glitch, but I got most of that. So
yeah,
I think this may be a good opportunity to talk about where I'll be back to making lots as I'm starting to hire a videographer. I used to work all week, and then on Friday night, like I would write and script an episode, and on Saturday night I would shoot it, then start editing, and to go to like 3 or 4 in the morning. Then I'd wake up really early on Sunday to finish. And then, long story short, I've grown a company from like nothing to about 30 employees now in 3 years, and as like I'm building it out. It'll get easier in the future. Now I got like an accounting department, marketing, a sales team, but like I've had to do so many things. And in the last year, like I got my blood work done. They came back like real bad, like my A1C, like I was like pre-diabetic, didn't even know, like my testosterone levels were horribly low. And like I was working like crazy like this, and I just felt horrible and feeling really good now. But I need to like scale things. So I think I can get my channel back with just paying someone to help me with it. And I really enjoyed making a lot of content. Like it was one of like my favorite things, and just literally got to a level where I physically couldn't do it. But yeah, we definitely need more. And I think that's one of the biggest things I can give to the community. I'm not a developer. I'm not I don't have some of the skills that other people have, but I feel like I can market. I market for my businesses, and I enjoy economics. I can talk the language of economics and provide that value to the community. So I want to be a big part of that. But yeah, so we need more people. I think just in general too, there's less people in the bear market that just make content for whatever reason, or find the coin, or pop up new channels. I'm sure again, after the next halving, we'll have all kinds of new faces and things like that. But we definitely need more. I'm trying to think, again, maybe I gotta peek outside the BCH community a little bit more to see like these general big communities that they're like scared of saying something that like will piss off a maximalist or piss off this person, or they're just trying to shill and make money. So again, in terms of like where the community stands, or like all crypto communities, like it's, I don't know, like we don't have, what do you think about the general influencer crypto type people out there? Like your BitBoy Cryptos, he gets a lot of attention, or your Altcoin Daily, or these other people. I feel like again, they've been so scared to talk things that may get them a little less unpopular, even if it's a difficult, inconvenient truth, right? What are your thoughts on like the mainstream of crypto influencing?
Yeah, well, I think they'll just come around. Like BitBoy, he knows for sure there was a recent clip of him talking about how crypto was sort of moving into a new phase where he said, look, we've had all these ICOs and scams and stuff, and everybody's kind of a bit over it, which is pretty ironic because he himself has been profiting heavily off, involved in all that, hyping up all these nonsense. Did you see his line card? Like what he would charge, mention your coin to do.
Oh,
right. Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
man, like, yeah, you can make some money, dude, but like, make money at the cost of what? Right? Like some of the coins that I saw some videos that he pumped, like literally went to zero in like 3 or 4 months. And like I don't know. And there's some good people out there like on Twitter that I think still like I do what crypto tips. Like I generally like her, but she's not a BTC maximalist, but she's not good towards like she generally gets the importance of needing it and needing crypto and like the good parts of it, but doesn't, we don't have her in our community. That's something like there's people I would like to get in the community that are philosophically sound. Some of the people at First Million kind of disappeared a little bit. I heard he told somebody he's going to come back later or something, but we definitely need more.
I know that. Yeah, we always need more. There's going to be a lot of low info people who are following BitBoy and other coins and stuff. To me, all that stuff, it's all just like trend following. So with BCH, if something starts, or it is starting right now, well, that's what we're here talking about with all cash tokens and everything. As it starts, as things really come together, eventually it just hits a tipping point that it becomes kind of the cool thing for everyone to talk about. Like they say, people don't notice that you're there; they notice that you're still there, right? I really, really like that saying. I think that's a perfect saying. And for BCH, it fits exactly, right? Is how many people, BCH actually has huge brand awareness. People don't really understand this. They think, oh, it's some small coin. But actually, no, almost everybody knows about BCH or they've heard about it just because there's so much Streisand effect. And it's just been going on since crypto began. That's the whole point. So people are still just, oh, it's over, it's over, it's over. But more people know BCH than know 99% of these other coins. That's a guarantee.
An ICP computer, right?
Exactly.
Like, they get added
Fuck
to
ICP. That's
they
going to be the new meme.
Right. They didn't get added to Venmo, right? Somehow they're ahead of us, right? Like that makes any sense.
It's going to be the new meme on this show, hating on the ICP. I like that. Well, then we'll be adding Streisand effect. We'll be pumping them up. People will be like, oh, ICP, I got to look into that.
Yeah, man. So again, there needs to be more. I want to help with it. And like you said, it's going to be, again, the bigger channels will pick up things as the community like provides value and something that they can pump and sound like they're delivering, because most people aren't at the grassroots, right? They don't see what you and I see this community. So I guess if they're like major headlines and we're like in the local news, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Pick a grade, and then I want to hear about your golf tournament.
Yeah, I go a little bit lower. I really feel like we should be. But I mean, I lean more to that C+ or C level. But I'm gonna help out a lot more here. So we'll go C. I'll go with a solid C. And I blame myself for it.
C's get degrees, mate. That's what they say. No, it's P's get degrees. That's what they always said at uni.
You deserve more. You've really crushed it, and you deserve the flip story. You got funded, and I really appreciate what you guys do here.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, tell us about your golf tournament. We're running out of time here. So you've got your yearly golf tournament that you run. There's a bit of a Bitcoin Cash theme. I guess people can pay in BCH, probably have some BCH merchants and stuff there. It's obviously in Florida, nice and sunny. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so I invite, what I do for this business, we design restaurants, we build them out. We have a lot of relationships with people, and this is an event to invite a lot of my clients out to have a nice day. And I get the factories involved that manufacture equipment. And I will also plug at this time that I am working on developing a private label brand that I'll be importing. It'll be called Bitcoin Cash Refrigeration. So I'm going to be buying containers of it, and it's going to have logos of Bitcoin Cash on it. So I'm hoping by the fall to have this rolled out. So we'll see what that is, but it's a lot of factory. I mean, all the factories know that like I'm a crypto guy, and I've given them all, and working on getting them to receive it for payments and explain how they can use it for international payments, because some of the stuff's bought from China and all that. So it's just a big opportunity to get all these people in my supply chain together, and none of them know anything about crypto. So we go out there, we talk some industry, talk some business, But in the morning, we talk about, some things of crypto nature. A lot this year, I have it structured a little bit different. But then at lunch, we have, I'm going to push the bigger guest speakers. I had Roger speak at breakfast last time. And I had Mark Falzon, who came back from El Salvador, and another crypto guy, kind of a local guy that I'm going to be working a little bit more with, just talk about more things outside of Bitcoin Cash. But so again, we're going to have a guest speaker at lunch. I have a few lined up. I would really like to see if I could get, it's going to have an anti-CBDC nature to it, kind of scare everyone of what is coming their way, and how this amazing tool called Bitcoin Cash is a tool to protect them, and at least, not saying you need to invest in it or this, but you need to learn how it is and how it works, because you may need it in the future. You may need to make a purchase that your social credit score will not allow you to. And, again, I'm in talks with John Swingle. He's very interested in being a part of it as well. I would like him to speak at some point too. Even if he just redid the speech he did in St. Kitts, it was so well done. I'd love to have him. I think he illustrated the world and where it's going. So it's going to be a lot of that. And I said, we just launched it out, and there's the website on there you can go to and contact Angels, my head of marketing. She'll get everyone set up. If you want to come down to South Florida, it's actually one of the nicest golf courses in the country. So we do a high class for Bitcoin Cash. It's they actually play the championship tour here. All the professional golfers come here. So if you like golf, the state of the art course, and you can fly in, stay at the resort. It's truly beautiful, and October is a good time down here. The weather should be, really nice. The summer should be like pretty much over, get into a little bit of fall, and it's an opportunity. And years ago, my partner said he wanted to host a golf tournament. I was like, he wanted me to help him with it. I was like, I'll put all my energy into it if it's educational for crypto. So I helped him get going with that. And now we stick with the crypto thing. So that's what it is.
That's awesome. And it's exactly what we were talking about before, where it doesn't need to be, crypto doesn't need to be the main thing, but if you can combine it in with other things, then people have a reason, something that they're familiar with or something that they're already interested in, so they're going to get excited about, or they got a reason to come along. Like you said, there's some business in there, there's some golf in there, and then a bit of crypto in there. I think that's perfect. Just get the crypto in there. Other side, it doesn't need to be the main thing. Oh, we're just here to show you this all the time, but just work it into the conversation, and I'm sure that'll turn a lot of heads then next year or the year after, whenever the big bull run is and the pump, and then that will be sitting away in people's minds, and they'll think, oh yeah, remember, and then they'll be coming back to you, and then you look like a mad savvy businessman. You're ahead of the game. Everybody wants to team up with you, not even about the crypto, but just because like this guy is on it, forward thinking, blah blah blah. That kind of rep gets you a lot of business indirectly, I'd say. So that's very good way to be.
I try to think about my life and like, what am I doing? Am I doing things of value? And I look at like I do businesses, so like people like kind of think, oh, this guy's smart enough to run a business, and like, oh, he likes crypto, maybe I should hear him about something like this too. It kind of gives me like a soapbox to speak off of. Sometimes I feel that way. But you're saying like in that reverse way, like they come to my event too, and then they see like, oh my God, I got some Bitcoin Cash at $118 at this golf event. This thing's $1,000. I must be late. And then you got to tell them, well, you're not late. We got a lot more to do, but it could go down. So yeah, it's, again, I just try to use my businesses and whatever qualifications I get there as a soapbox to speak as a credible source, in the conversation. Something I feel like this is a tool that's probably going to be like the most important thing when people look back at our time in history. Like this is when, crypto took off. Whatever story gets told from that, we have an opportunity to write that story. So, and I think, it's such an interesting life to live. Your kids will look back at you and all the crazy shit you did and all that. And hopefully our side plays out well. And, it's just another thing I do to put into the good fight. You
want to be on the right side of crypto. It's a whole nother rabbit hole. We can't go into it now, but it's something that I've noticed actually recently, and thinking about it, is that obviously in the demographics for this show that we did the survey last year, it's all guys, pretty much, or 100% of the respondents, and certainly the listener demographics kind of back that up, right? It's almost all guys, and the key age range is between about 25 and 45. And it's just even being at that conference, I noticed there's a lot of people with young families, basically, right? A lot of guys with young families are attracted to BCH because they're playing for the long game. They're not playing for the next 1 year or 6 months. They're not trying to get rich quick because they've already got, a solid career. They've already got things happening. They're not out to just pump and dump this, but they're passionate and they understand that the world needs to be a better place in 15 or 20 years because otherwise their kids are going to be having a shit time of it. I've noticed that as a real theme in the community, and I was sort of wondering if we could lean into that or, how that will kind of manifest itself over time. But that's something I really noticed that I hadn't thought about before,
Yeah, I guess in the demographics, I wonder how that compares to other chains, but
exactly. Yeah.
Like certainly, I think the more VC pumps are probably the younger kids that are, I heard about someone got rich in Bitcoin. This is the next one, right? That kind of thing. But I wonder what are the unique dynamics of our chain, and I think that's a good group of people to have. Men that are out there providing for the next generation, trying to build tools to make a better world for their kids. I think that's a pretty powerful thing. If anyone's around and make the plug, feel free on the flyer here. It says, let me make sure I got the website right there. It says CKS Culture. Yeah. You can go on there, hit the contact form. You can, if you want to come out and play, we'll send you the receiving address for Bitcoin Cash. And also any, we donate a percentage of the proceeds go to Home Safe, which is a charity that helps take in kids that don't have parents anymore. They're either deceased or incarcerated or something. So that's where all the profits go from the event. So we try to tie it in with a good action. And I've helped them for a long time. They're a good community. People to give to, and if you want to learn more about them, go check out their sites. I partake in I'm playing in their golf tournament this month too. They're really good people. So really enjoy that. And but yeah, if you want to sneak away to Florida, and we'll probably do like a nice dinner. We'll do a nice dinner at the resort, but we'll do one at Ravish too, probably at my restaurant. You guys want to come over there and feel free. And we had such a good time last time. I'm excited to do it again. I have more help I'm excited to, because I did miss last year and we were going to try to do it in the spring. And again, I finally got the marketing set up. It's just been a fun, challenging thing growing these businesses. And I feel like I'm getting to a point where I can work on the businesses and I still have to work in them, but getting there. So
you're at the higher level. So CKS Golf Tournament.com for people interested in that. All right. So we're just coming down to the last little wire of the show. As always, message to the community, a chance to give your third ever, I guess, message to the community, or maybe your fifth. Do we do message to the community? I think we do on the Christmas episode.
Well, the other show, unfortunately, I had my dates crossed. International times were tough. I was supposed to be back home. I thought the event was, and I was in Asheville, North Carolina, and I was trying to do it on my phone, and it didn't go up. But so this will be my third or fourth one. Yeah. Let's hear it. What do they need to hear? This hit me and it stuck with me, and because I'm an investor also, as someone that's really interested in the coin, and I was talking to someone that's been in crypto for a long time, actually a pretty big whale in the space, and I just asked him, what do you do during these market trends? Like, it seems like right now during the bears flooding out, there seems to be a turn to BTC dominance, and as someone has been successful in the space, I asked him, do you trade around coins? Do you reallocate if you have so much crypto or anything like that? And he's like, Ryan, I think that's just speculating. Like, for example, if I think BTC is a shit, useless coin, I don't want to hold it. So and I thought it was really good just to think about, if you really think the coin, this investment has fundamentals, not necessarily to go all in on it, but just, really focus on the fundamentals of what we're doing here. And the more I come back, the more I do the show, the more I see what's going on in the community, the more I see what's happening in other communities. We are really in a good fundamental coin, and where we end up, I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, it's either we're going to, the goal of the show is to be the world reserve currency for the world, but at the very least, and what my conference is going to be about is we're creating tools. If you still want to have economic freedom, this is a tool that allows it. Now, however many more people that I can resonate with, the price will go higher. But even that's good enough for me. No matter what happens, CBDCs, government control. I come from, family that defected from communist regimes and government takeovers and all that. It can get very bad, and tools like this make the world a better place.
Absolutely. Wow. That's a great sign off note then. So we've got to give our supporter appreciation. This slide's getting longer and longer as time goes on, which is good to see. Our patrons, Ricky and HP, legendary. Thank you very much. Our sponsor, General Protocols. Go check out bchbull.com and stabilize your crypto if you're worried about ICP pumping past us, or speculate if you think we're going to wreck them. Either way, plenty for you. And we've got our Flipstarter contributors, Majamalu, Marcelo, thank you very much. Renegade, Cheap Lightning, Emergent Reasons, Unspent.app, Molecular, Bitcoin Cash Orders, Mini Satoshi, and Callisti.cash, who gets a double shout out for this one. Callisti.cash, got to say it twice because I forgot on the last one. Well, I didn't forget. He donated in 2 chunks, so I didn't notice that he'd got over the 1 BCH threshold to be shouted out. So there you go, made up for it this week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Of course, you can check out bitcoincashpodcast.com and check out all the FAQs, links, info there, and final shout outs. And where can people find you? Ryan, hit me.
You can gind me, of course, at the golf tournament link there, CKS Golf Tournament, be a part of that. You can follow my YouTube channel. I just uploaded last week. Ryan Giffin, of course, is my name. And then, I'm pretty active on Instagram, rgiffin89. I'm pretty much active there daily in stories like that. I kind of interact, usually share something that's going on in my business, but also like things that I find interesting about economics. I like the story feature because I feel like I'm not like throwing content in front of people all the time. On Twitter, I don't even know how to pronounce my handle there, but Ryan Giffin, you can probably find me there. A lot of you probably do. 1,500 followers. Have you gotten the blue check on Twitter yet? Is that
Yeah, I paid for it.
Should I do that in your experience?
I don't know. I mean, doesn't seem to make a critical difference to me, but I mean, I'm very happy to pay for it. I think Elon's on a good thing with it. And I got to say, there's a couple of nice features that do actually come into it. So when you post, instead of it auto posting, it gives you like a little 3 seconds to sort of change your mind and undo it. And then you can sort of edit it, which was pretty cool. I didn't expect it. It's a pretty basic thing, but I've actually found that really useful because a lot of the time I hit post and then as that thing's ticking down, I'm not the person who's like raging away and thinking, no, I shouldn't say that. But I think, oh wait, I made a typo here, or I think of a better word to use instead of the word I'd use or something. And so then I just click undo and change it. Like even that feature is probably worth $8. So
I wonder if I can change my handle. I think I'm just Ryan Giffin on there, but my handle, like I started it years ago.
You can.
Like some auto. Yeah, I gotta. It's so funny, and I'll leave you with this. Like like I like crypto a lot. People know me around the office, but like I'm not like the most techie. Like I can get through my days and all that. And like people are like, Ryan, why aren't you like techie? And that you love crypto so much. I'm like I'm just kind of more of an anarchist. That's why I like crypto. Like I'm not necessarily like technically savvy. I'm just interested in like the anarchical features of it and what it does for people's lives. So I could get better at little things like that. But I tend to, my personality, like I tend to value speed more than technical. It's just like the way my mind and the way I view outcomes is. But that's kind of how I'm wired. So I'm working on that. But
Jett, do you have any shout outs? No shout outs. And do I have any shout outs? My shout out is to Maria because I hope she's doing well. And we did some salsa dancing. I remember that was fun, and so awesome. Business and life is going well for her. Exactly. You can say I asked about her on the show because I want to find out how her BCH journey is going.
She almost went back.
She went back.
Well, she was supposed to. The plane, or the boat. Like there's someone like was trying to escape from some island and like died there or something. She was going to go back. She's ready to spend more BCH and meet up with Sunny. This is like a month ago. So she's very interested and involved. I'll see her tomorrow. We were actually just in San Antonio together. She's coming back today. I came back on Friday for a conference.
All
so
right.
I'll definitely let her know you said hi.
Prison Break St. Kitts edition starting up. It sounds like, wow, okay. All right, well, that might be a good time to end the show then. Sorry, nothing to see here. Move on. Thank you all for listening. Until next time.
Take care, guys.
The greatest story the world has ever known. The rise and rise of Bitcoin. 2022.
A single chance for the world, a single moment in time. Bankers captures all, our cryptocurrency flies. Gets to decide, Phoenix fly from the flame. Bitcoin BCH, forever changing the game.
An underdog story everyone trying to deny. Big